very good evening to all. I think we are celebrating our 175th year, and it's time to look for future also, that is future roadmap. Now in 2047, IIT Roorkee will be completing 200th year of its existence, and the India, the 100th year of its independence. Now we have to think about that what should be the course, what should be the future roadmap for IIT Roorkee. Where do the faculty, students and alumni want to see the institute in 2047? And how can the institute prepare for it? So these are valid questions actually, and we have to think about those questions. To answer this question, today we are gathered here for a brainstorming session on vision for next 25 years of IIT Roorkee. And I would like to introduce the panelists who would share thoughts on this particular topic. And also there will be a question answer session, which would be like interaction. People can make comment or ask questions. So the panel consists of Shri BVR Mohan Reddy, Chairman BOG and Padmas, Professor KK Pant, Director, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi, former Director, Professor Yogendra Singh from Earthquake Engineering Department, Professor Gaurav Raheja from Architecture and Planning, Professor Pranita Sarangi from Biosciences and Bioengineering. We have two distinguished alumni in this panel, Professor Ajay Agrawal, University of Alabama, and Professor Rajiv Ahuja, Director, IIT Roper. Also, we have a student representative, Ms. Kritika from Mechanical Engineering. So I would request Professor Chaturvedi to moderate this discussion. Thank you.
At the outset, let me congratulate the chairman, Shri Mohan Reddy, and the director, Professor KK Pant, for having thought of having this very important session, which will hopefully provoke thinking and bring out thoughts which we normally do not think about. I'm also honored that they selected me for this moderation of this session. As a moderator, my job is not to give any answers. I will only try and give a brief presentation, which will hopefully give some thoughts to you that this title is very difficult, that setting the vision for such a vast institute, such a institute which has been in existence for 175 years, cannot be any one person's job. It has to be a collective effort of a large number of faculty, students, alumni, board members, chairman board, director, all these things, they have to collectively think about this. And because this job has some inherent difficulties, so I thought I'll make a structured presentation. I'll keep it brief. We don't want to give too much time to any one speaker because we will expect a lot of interventions from the audience so that audience can also speak. And hopefully by the end of the session, there will be food for thought and there will be a lot of ideas on which faculty here, administrators here, they can all think which are the leads that they can take forward. So the outline of my brief sketch in the beginning has three important points. First is that I want to talk about why we are doing this kind of a session. So that will be the 175th year milestone. So that is some kind of a preamble that I want to say. Then I want to mention the uncertainties or rather the unknowns of various important parameters. What will happen 25 years later? So I just want to touch those parameters, which will give a feeling as if we are talking about something that is almost impossible to talk about. But then I will try to end by saying that it is not impossible to talk about it. And that is what I have one slide on ranking and vision. And I will conclude there. And then hopefully we'll all learn as the panel discussion proceeds. So why we are talking about this session here? So it's mostly about the last 1 year has been mostly about past or present. That means what we are doing in current times or what we have done in the past. We have tried to showcase it in different forms. But then, what about the future? This is also a great opportunity to think about the future. We have what we have done is good, very good, but what we want to do, what we would like to do, and how to do it. So, where do the faculty, students, and alumni wish to see the institute 25 years later? That is 2047. And if we get some sense of the wish list or the desire of the directions in which we want to move, then of course the job becomes slightly easier, because then you can say that how to prepare for it. So how can IIT Roorkee prepare for whatever direction we want to take? So 25 years later, will the government continue to support the salaries of IIT employees? Nobody knows the answer. 25 years later, will the boards of IITs be allowed to decide their tuition fees? Nobody can answer that. These are difficult questions. Will the boards of IITs be allowed to select the chairman, director, members? I mean, or maybe it is possible in the next 5 years, maybe it will happen in 10 years, maybe it will not happen. Because these are all difficult questions which society collectively answers in the form of the government. 25 years later, will faculty be expected to support PhD fellowships only from their projects? The assistantship that IITs offer or UGC offers to universities in the form of PhD fellowships, it may not be available in the form it is available today. Unless you have a project, unless you have the fellowship to pay for your student from that project, only then you can have a PhD student. That means your research has to be guided by your projects only. What will be the importance of journal publications? In the last 10-15 years, I have seen that the way the journal publications are looked at keeps on changing every couple of years or every 3 years' time. What is the quality of the journal? What is the impact factor of the journal? How many citations have you got? How many, what is the kind of peer recognition of that journal? That is one aspect. Second aspect is that, is this creating any kind of technology transfer? Is it creating any kind of patent? Has it been able to find an industry collaboration? Those questions have become very important, especially during career progression. That means when you are looking, the CVs are being evaluated, papers continue to be looked at it. Of course, they should be looked at, but then alone they are not going to decide. The number of papers has become a less important landmark. More important is kind of citations, the kind of impact, the kind of journals, the kind of Q1 and Q2, Q3, Q4. But then what's the next step is translation. Has any translation happened? Is it confined to a group of 50 researchers who are satisfying this group of 50 amongst themselves? Or is it percolating beyond that 50 to create some impact? Will incubating a company be a criterion for promotion to the post of professor? Who knows? Maybe it becomes. Today it is not. I don't think it is going to become in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. But at some stage it might come, especially in an IIT. And that is linked to the previous question, that only academic research will not fulfill the expectation of the society from an IIT. We have to take it forward. And one way to take it forward is that if you have done some invention, innovation, why don't you yourself take the responsibility of trying to test the market potential of that idea? 25 years later, will engineering profession and JEE Advanced continue to attract top talent? This is a very big question, because engineering as a profession is facing very stiff competition from other higher paying professions. And the number of our students from engineering disciplines who immediately after they graduate from IIT Roorkee or any other IIT, taking up non-core jobs is very high. In fact, in some departments, it is just 80 to 90% people not taking up jobs from that profession. Now, if this trend continues, naturally someday it will affect what kind of people want to come for engineering, what kind of people want to appear in JEE Advanced, what kind of people want to come to IIT. Today we are taking these things for granted. because we have that huge IIT brand, the society, the students, everybody clamored. There is a huge coaching mandi that is going on to sort of supply students to us. 25 years later, you are not sure. Maybe you have to think of ways by which you get students. Will IITs continue to occupy majority of positions in the top 10 higher educational institutions? If you look at NIRF rankings in the last 7 years, they come out with top 10 overall ranking. And in that top 10 overall, majority of the positions are taken by IITs. Otherwise, there'll be a couple of universities other than the IITs. Will that continue to happen? Will IIT as a brand continue to have the kind of impact or the kind of prestige that it carries today? Again, only time will tell. Will IITs be able to enter the Nobel Prize Club? Will we have a situation where within the next 25 years, we might get scientists, engineers working on interesting problems, creating such an impact globally that they are recognized with the Nobel Prize? Let us hope it happens, but whether it will happen or not, we don't know. Ranking and vision. Now, institutional rankings are dynamic, that all of us know. Every year, some changes happen. Some institutes may go up, some institutes may come down. There will be not large scale changes, but some changes do happen. And then there are oscillations also. Some institute goes up, then comes down, then again goes up, then comes down. Some kind of a, you can say, a noise kind of effect can be seen, where because of some minor changes in the data, some kind of ups and downs happen. But the point is that institutional rankings are dynamic. Now, if they are dynamic, what can we see from the past 60, 70 years of the IIT system? So, whichever IIT is perceived as the number one IIT today, was that always the number one IIT? No. This is a phenomenon of the last 15 years, maybe maximum 20 years. Before that, there was some other IIT which was occupying that space for a good 3 decades. Unquestioned numero uno. Now, if within the IIT system, the number one position also changes in decades, maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, maybe 25 years, then who knows what will happen 25 years later? In 2047, which IITs will be the top 3? Which will be the top 10? Will IIT Roorkee be in the top 3? Will we continue to be in the top 10? Of course, we have made good progress in the sense that now we are consistently being ranked in variety of rankings as 6th. Earlier it used to be 7th, 8th, that kind of thing. So we have made some definite improvement. There is no doubt about that. But then the harder, it becomes harder and harder if you sort of try to go up the ladder. And unless you are into that game, you don't realize that how hard it is even to stay where you are. Because there's a lot of competition from the below. So don't take it for granted that if whatever we are today, we'll always be either better than that or this. So even the top 10 cannot be taken for granted, and top 3 is possible. Why not? So that is why if we have that opportunity over a longer period of time, that it can be a game changer to the stakeholders all of us want, then why not think about it? Can IITR prepare itself to enter the top 3? Vision and preparation can help. Of course, official bodies like the Senate and the Board of Governors, they can do these jobs more methodically, more serious in a structured fashion. But these kind of brainstorming sessions can bring out the seeds of the strands or the thoughts that probably need to be worked upon more carefully. And then they can go to the Senate and the board to take a closer call and to take decisions, actions, which can translate these directions into visible goals and outcomes and impact. Despite being the number one in NIRF, IIT in NIRF, IITM is still not a magnet for JEE toppers. The point I'm trying to make in this last bullet for me is that let us not be consumed only by rankings. Rankings are important, you cannot ignore them. But if you only play the ranking games, then again we will miss the real targets. And the best example is this. In NIRF, consistently for 4 years, IIT Madras is number 1. But in the top 100 JEE ranks, not more than 5, not more than 3. This is just one example. So let the discussion not be governed only by ranking. Ranking should be one important criteria, but not only ranking. So I'll conclude my sort of brief preamble here, and then we will go by turns. I will invite Professor Yogendra Singh to come and to speak. Maybe you can speak to the mic there. You can save time.
So, respected Mr. Reddy, BOG Chairman, our Director, uh, Professor Pant, Professor Chaturvedi, my fellow panelists, my fellow faculty members here, students, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great moment for me to speak about the future of my alma mater as an alumnus and as a faculty member. So when I think about future, uh, especially the 25 coming years, three things come to my mind. Number one, which comes to my mind, is that the world is changing at a very fast pace. And this pace is also going to increase in the future. So as Professor Chaturvedi also pointed out, it's very difficult. Many parameters are going to change. And in that changing world, we have to keep our relevance. So one thing we can think that the current trend shows that in the coming years, the role of public sector is going to reduce and the corporate sector and the market is going to take over. And that's why we can't continue to depend too much on government funding, and we have to do our resource mobilization from the corporate world. And for this, we have to also see that in this process of this future development, a fraction of our population is going to be left out. And we have to focus on that fraction of the population also, not only as our social responsibility, but also as a large pool of raw talent which will be left out from this process. So we have to devise a policy in a way to attract that pool or to take that pool of talent with us. Then the second point which comes to my mind is rebranding of IIT Roorkee, because IIT brand is already crowded and there is a lot of competition. So we have to stand out, and for that, standing out, we have to focus on our quality of teaching, quality of research, quality of outreach. And to enhance this quality, we have to improve our intake, and at the same time, we have to do the filtration at different levels to provide exit or to provide respectful exit to those who have entered to our system but not having aptitude. So we understand the limitations of JEE, and there are many students who are entering to our systems who do not have the aptitude for this type of profession. So we have to provide a policy, we have to evolve a policy so that we can provide a respectful exit to them at different levels. Then the third point which comes to my mind is enhancing our collaboration and interaction with the industry. So this collaboration has to be enhanced at the level of faculty as well as at the level of students. So at faculty level, I feel that we will have to evolve a policy in which the industry leaders are given place in our faculty team. They are involved in teaching and training process, and we have also to involve the people working in industry in our teaching as our students, and the interaction which they will have with our students, that will be enriching for our students. And at the same time, we have to restructure our curriculum in such a way that the industrial training becomes essential part of it, and our students are motivated to spend some time in the industry to work on the real life problem. And that way I feel that we will be able to improve enhance the quality, and we will try to stand out in the IIT brand. Thank you.
So, thank you, Professor Chaturvedi, for putting me on this panel. And some of the question I can answer immediately. One thing about Nobel Prize, why not only IIT, India is not getting Nobel Prize. There's only one answer, is jealousy. Why? Because Nobel Prize is given by nominations. I was talking to the Nobel Committee of Chemistry. बोलते हैं राजीव nomination ही नहीं आता इंडिया से. So we have to appreciate our colleagues. What they are doing, we should appreciate. If I get a invitation for nomination, I should not think that, okay, कि उसने मैं तो अपने को nominate नहीं कर सकता है. Why I should nominate my colleague? And if he will get Nobel Prize, he will be the boss in the department, and my life will be difficult at home also. बोलेगी wife बोलेगी कि तुम तो काम करते रहते थे, Nobel Prize तो तुम्हारे colleague को मिल गया. So we don't nominate. So that's the one thing we are not getting Nobel Prize. Another thing is that, as you know, the Nobel Prize is given for the basic sciences. So we have to make our basic sciences very strong. And I always say that basic science is a mother of innovation. So this coaching cultures has killed our students' creativity of the basic sciences. You can see that there are a lot of students preparing for this, entering the JEE, and they are not going even to the schools. They are doing proxy admissions and coming. So that culture is not developed. This should come from the schools. And what Nobel Prize say that research should be driven by curiosity. It's not like that your professor tells you, then you will do the research, then you will get Nobel Prize. It should come from inside. And other thing is that, which I will like to see that, at least I'm trying in IIT Roorkee, that research should be part of the curriculum. You cannot be innovative. कि आप BTech में admission लिया, you are innovative. Yes. We have to develop a culture of research among our BTech students. So that's why they are taking white collar jobs, sitting in offices, not going to the lab. They have to go to the R&D lab, not only the industry doing internship. They have to go to R&D lab, or they should have spent 2 months in research lab, how research is done and how you can translate in the research into the product. That is innovation for me. And innovation, I always say that basic science is the mother of innovation. And any institute or any country can go forward when we neglect this word I. We have to use word we, and I also always say that you can lead this world. India can lead only by 2 mantras. One is innovation, other is collaboration. So we have to learn how we can work as a team in the department, as an institute, and as a whole nation. So this is my view that India should think also, and IIT Roorkee should also think about that. There are a lot of things what Professor Chaturvedi has already mentioned, that there should be not much support from the government for the institute fellowships. And this is the culture in the Western countries. So you have to support your student from your own grants. So this is the culture also bring the research and among all the faculty members, and as a whole institute can grow first. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to extend my heartiest greetings to the esteemed panelists, faculty members, alumni, and the students present here. Today, I'm here as a student when IIT Roorkee has completed its 175 years, and I'm getting this opportunity to share my vision for IIT Roorkee for the next 25 years. And right now, I'm a student here in my third year mechanical engineering. I would graduate in a year and a half. But still, I would be a part of IIT Roorkee, and IIT Roorkee would always be a part of me. And that is why I am sharing my vision for the next 25 years, that where we would be. So right now, IIT Roorkee stands 369th in the QS rankings. We stand 6th in the NIRF rankings. And we all believe in ourselves that we have that potential that we can reach in the top 100 or 200 universities globally. And we have the potential that we can become the topmost university in India as well. But these are all rankings and these are all dynamic rankings that Sir has shared. But still they hold some importance because as a student, when I joined the institution, ranking is something that matters. But apart from that, what also matters is the quality of education that is being provided here. I'm a student here and I've had the opportunity to study various courses among a lot of faculty members here, all of them. And we have one of the most finest and the best faculty in the institution. This is something I share as a student. This is something we should be very proud of. And that is coming to the part that although IIT Roorkee is a technical institution, we still offer courses in the field of management. We are offering courses in the field of humanities. And in the next 25 years, we can look forward to enhancing these courses and introducing new disciplines like maybe law, medicine. What this would do is it would create a holistic environment for the students. It would create a kind of very healthy environment and ecosystem for the growth of the students. And from a personal point of view, when I see that when I go, and I have the opportunity to represent IIT Roorkee at various events, various prestigious events, there when we share our experiences, then people are left in awe and they appreciate the kind of support we get from this staff and the faculty members from here. Because every student, every campus group here has a faculty advisor. There is a lot of support and people are sometimes they're very surprised to know that, okay, the IIT students are not only nerds, they are very good musicians, they're very good artists, they're very good athletes. So what we need to focus on is we also need to improve all these facilities. We need to focus on research. We need to focus on the academic facilities. We need to improve the infrastructure of our department. That is what should be focused upon. Also, I happen to be a student of mechanical engineering in this institution. And while I was joining the institution, I was taking this discipline. I had heard all kinds of stereotypes about the gender ratio in this discipline. But I can very proudly say that we have come a long way in improving that and we still have a very long way to go. And speaking from personal experience, something I would like to share here is that I am a third year student, but unfortunately, due to the COVID restrictions, I got the opportunity to visit campus only in November last year. And I have never felt so safe outside my home before. Right now, I can walk at midnight from the library to my hostel or maybe go to RKBW at say 2 a.m. in the night just to grab masala patties without a second thought, without an ounce of fear. And this is something, this kind of a safe environment is something that we need to provide to all the students everywhere. And 25 years is a very long span of time, and we have ample amount of time. And in promoting our institute and making it better, the students sometimes just blame, okay, this is something that the administration is supposed to do. But that is not the case. Everyone has an important role to play. The panelists sitting here, our faculty members, our alumni, the students, everybody has a role to play. And I would really be looking forward to that in 2047, when we complete our 200 years, if I get the opportunity to come here again as an alumni, share my thoughts again on a similar event, and then we might be able to recount about this event 25 years ago, and then be proud to share that we have achieved all the goals that we had envisioned for ourselves 25 years ago. Thank you.
Very warm greetings and evenings to the esteemed panelists on the stage. And also to the audience. Thanks, Professor Chaturvedi, to give me this honor to share this stage. And I would want to begin with the point which I remember from Helen Keller, who said that the problem of the world is not that the blind cannot see, but the ones who can see perhaps have no vision. So the idea of vision is, to me, rather a dream, because I cannot force anyone else to walk on my vision. And therefore, I would be very loud and open in saying certain things, that the IITs were set up in the early 1950s for a context of India that it was. Today, that context has changed. So here I remember a famous designer called Victor Papanek, who said that we teach so much in our schools, he meant in the context of design and engineering, that we forget to teach about the context in which that happens, which is the social, economic, and the political context. And science, therefore, at least with my own experience in India, is a midpoint between social science and political science. The scientists don't decide which science will be funded. It is either the need of society or the vision of the politics. So keeping a disconnect at that level, I think IITs become insulated. And therefore, I believe the vision of next 25 years should not be very comforting, should not be very incremental, but should be very disruptive and very open and audacious. And therefore, I would say, while we can retain the name of IIT as Indian Institute of Technology, but in vision and mission, we must become institutes of innovative thinking. Because what precedes technology is thought. What goes after technology is thought. Technology is an enabler. Let's not only produce technology, let's produce thought leaders who can actually run the show on the ground and deliver services as today food and products are delivered to your home. So I think the role of the teacher, therefore the same T, very proudly this moment of 175 years, we are Thompsonians, which has built the technology of trust. And from that trust, we are sitting today on a today. And what is a today is a tomorrow of the yesterday. And consequently, we must continue to transform. Now, there I want to say one thing, that how long will we continue to compete? Competition is also saturating. Competition is very boring after a point. When will we start our own personal journeys? And there the big question to us would be, does the IIT of the future want to continue to be in a race or in a rank, or will it start its own journey, which is of well-being, which is of leading, something which is mattering to the context of India? On the other side, it's about how does the IIT look at India? I think the India, I would not look at the context of India as developing or developed. I would look at India as the world's largest marketplace and the world's majority population. My question is, what have we innovated that matters to the majority? And there, the T of the technology and the trust is the enabler. But if we link the two other things as a part of the next vision, is the S of the society and the N of the nature. Because we are going through climate change. We cannot continue to live the way we are living. Can the IIT of the future set a model of a sustainable campus? Can the IIT of the future give the society the service of the needs that it needs? And I think if we continue to be relevant to the market and people, we should not be worried about funds. But for that, we have to definitely go beyond paper talks. We have to definitely go beyond journals. How many products have we produced that are household innovations? How many? And how many can actually be done? So I would say, I would look at IIT as a tinkering space. The IIT campus must become a lab rather than creating buildings, because in every corner of the lab, whether it is a eatery or a canteen or a public space, innovation must be the only common thing. In order to do that, I would say the small change or the way of doing it, at least I believe it was a later learning of life, that language has so much big role. Because the power of thought is communicated through language. So I would say, if I, instead of saying I'm going to a classroom, I would say I'm going to a learning space, then I change the whole faculty of teaching, lose the burden of the teacher to become a learner. If I change the transformation from industry to becoming an entrepreneur, I would say the insight of taking an initiative to fail also gets encouraged. So I think I'm looking about the future of IIT as an environment, not as a classroom, not as a single building and a wall, and that must lead the way by example. And I hope if we do that in a collective way, I'm not worried about the vision or the destination, because if my journey is good, I think success is when outside world tells me, but satisfaction is when my inner self tells me. So if I think I have satisfied my own self, I don't care about what the world looks at me. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Ajay Agrawal.
Hello. Good evening. So I'll make my remarks in two parts. And the first part, I'll try to give a context where I'm talking about. And the second part, I'll say something about what I thought Roorkee could do or IIT could do. And before I go, first of all, I should thank Professor Chaturvedi for inviting me, and I just talked to him yesterday. So it's a last minute thought, but I hope I convey my point. I've been in academia for 40 years, all of that in the United States. So I'm talking from a little bit, different perspective than what you may be from Indian perspective. And obviously, I don't know all the Indian issues, but I think I can relate to it. I come from University of Alabama, and as I mentioned in my previous program, that University of Alabama has 175 years of engineering, one of the 5 institutions in the United States that just completed 175. So we are in a very similar position as Roorkee, being 175 years. I joined there in 2005, and there was a vision that was taking place at that time. And I'll give that as a context because that's the vision we are talking about here. When I joined, the university had about 19,000 students. It's a state school in South. Those of you know map of United States, close to Atlanta. So southern states are not, considered backward states in the United States generally. So 19,000 students in South, and there was a vision to grow the university. And I would say next 15 years, that number doubled. So we increased 38,000 students in 15 years, and there was a vision behind it, obviously. Also, I'll mention about other aspect of university life is research. We were very good in football. That was, we do very well in number 1. But in 15 years, that landscape changed. And in last 3 years, University of Alabama became what is called Research One University, which is considered to be among the top category of university in the United States. That was again a vision. There was a vision behind it, and that made it happen. So there is something that one thinks, and then it happens. So in that context, I think what IIT Roorkee could do is what I like to call it. I put together an acronym cycle. C and I, not a Y. C-I-C-L-E, cycle. I deliberately changed the Y to I. And what these acronym I think means is the C is for core strength. We got to build, we got to maintain what we are good at, what is the core strength at. And I'll just mention a little bit, but I said innovation. Innovation is the key. Then another C is creation. We got to create new knowledge. And L, leadership and entrepreneurship. So I'll just describe a little bit of it. Is the core strength, I think is extremely important that we focus on core. I've been mechanical engineer for 40 years, and it has never amazed me to see how many challenges and how many new ideas as mechanical engineer you can have. 40 years ago when I graduated, I didn't know there was anything to be discovered in mechanical engineering. 40 years now from then, I see, there's so many things we can do as mechanical engineers. So that is core strength. We got to make sure that we prosper as mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, civil engineers, of course, and all other branches of engineering. What is the core? And one of the things that we fail to do, I think in Indian context, is that we follow the West. And we follow the West, and what happens is, they are not looking at, every country is looking at their interests. We ought to follow what is in the best interest of India. And I think we need to stop chasing the West and find a niche, find the strength that India must have, what serves the India, and how India can serve the world. And that's a change of thinking, and stop following what everybody else is doing. because that does not lead us into the right direction. So the second part is the innovation. How do you do that? Is obviously innovation. I heard everybody talk about innovation, so I won't say what that means, and everybody understands. Innovation is important, and you can only innovate when you have that core strength. That is strength, the knowledge, fundamental knowledge, whether it's mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, has to be there. That's innovation. The third thing is creation. And I use that word more generally. Creation has to do with research, creative activity. We got to create new ideas. We need to create or think that we can innovate. Okay, that's the purpose of research, not just publications. You know, I've been in this game for a long time. Publications are good, but they don't always refer to creation. So creative activity, some way to measure creation that brings something new. That's the third part of the cycle. And then leadership, of course, everyone understands that IIT Roorkee is in a fortunate situation that it is a leader in India, and that leadership role, I think, should be sustained and should be maintained. And there are various ways to make that happen. But the last one I would say is entrepreneurship. That is something oftentimes lack in our field, is that, you know, you have the creative ideas, you have the foundation, you have the knowledge, you have leadership, but entrepreneurship. That entrepreneurship is to blend all these things together and bring something of value to the society. Whether it's a monetary value or it's a social value, I think it's all entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship should not be just measured by money, but something that you can do with your core strength, with your leadership, with your innovation, with your knowledge.
Thank you.
And I think that's where I see.
Thank you, sir. Professor Pranita? Yeah.
Distinguished panelists, it's an honor and humbling to get an opportunity to share my thoughts and views in front of leaders and the stakeholders, faculties of our institute, who I believe have the responsibility to shape and create a dynamic and dream institute for the future generation who are probably not yet born or are in making somewhere in any institute of the world. And when we are thinking about them, we have to think about an institute which can, which is so dynamic and so evolving that no matter how growing the mindset are, which we have no idea, because the new generation is always brilliant and brighter than the previous generation. And while sharing my thoughts, keeping in mind the few, from my perspective, what are the strengths of our institute, I would like to share a few views on it. So, coming to our values and strength, one of the things that I would say that when we joined, when I joined about 9 years back, we were told that we have to look up to some other institutes of India to set our standards of achievement. But where we stand now, and wherever I have represented our institute in a national or international level, I see this institute that we are leading in many, and we can dream to be the best and to be the leader for this country, and with the vision of Indian government, where Prime Minister Modi had the vision of India leading the world, then the world should be looking at India, and we should be contributing significantly to Atmanirbhar Bharat, and the technology that we create, we should have the potential to take it to the grassroots level. And we have the power of it. One of the key points that I perceive, which really is the strength and can be empowering in future, is our location. When we see Roorkee, we call it like Devbhumi, and where the traditional knowledge, wisdom, and the emotion and spirit of our country lies. So we can think about, like, when after 25 years, when we think about a clean and green environment, probably this part of the globe has the potential to be the best place where the brightest brain would like to come. So which is one of the key components that can contribute to the progress and the repute of our institute. And when we think about research and development, traditional medicine, that is something which is the need of the hour. With the development of issues like antimicrobial resistance, cancers increasing with which are resistant to chemotherapeutics, there is a dire need of traditional and indigenous medicine, which can be supportive in the clinic. And IIT Roorkee, with its unique location and proximity, and where we have all the resources and the knowledge, traditional knowledge here, we are in a strong position to be the leader of this field and attract from all over the globe. In 25 years, we are thinking about 25 years, and I could resonate with many of the points raised by the panelists, that when we think about being a leader, being an environment which is more satisfying to work, which obviously with the environmental pollution, environmental like climate change, and all other issues that anybody would like to not be in that situation and be in a clean environment. That is this is the institute that is going to be a key to attract. And in 25 years, I would like to see IIT Roorkee in a position where there is the shortest time between an innovative idea to its final destination. Maybe it's a world-class publication, or it's a technology, or it's a product that is useful to the country, which is very much aligned to the, like it says, we have to be the vocals for local, but then that has to be with the global standard. And we have the potential to be in that position where the world can look towards us. We don't have to look towards West. Even we have that potential that West can look towards us, because we are good in that, and we have already have the potential, and with there is a lot of evidence to show that how our faculty and students are achieving, what kind of facilities we are creating in our institute, and it has the potential to accommodate all the changing mindset and the progress. And one of the points that I really look forward to seeing in 25 years, with the commitment and sensitivity of our institute towards social responsibilities of all its stakeholders, and a commitment to global efforts to bring equity, diversity, and inclusion. I would like to see a 50% men and women in any panel, any decision-making bodies of our institute, which can really change the perspective and the ideas that is contributing to the growth of this institute. So this is kind of few points which I could present as like a future dream or my imagination.
Thank you.
Thank you again for this opportunity.
Professor Pant.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Chaturvedi for raising this very important, and thought which is to be made, and decisions are to be made. There are a lot of things when we see India at 2047, already document has been made. I would like to give you a couple of short, because I had a 47-page of PPT on that, which I will present separately with my faculty members. But a couple of important points, what you see, what is the goal for 2047, where we see, right, the high manufacturing. That is the share of GDP to 25% from 13% currently. And auto sector contribution to GDP should rise from 3.5% in 2021 to 10% in 2047. Capital goods from 1.8% to 2.5%, and electrical and electronic sector from 0.85% to 3%. Achieve 10% share in global professional services and global fintech services. Pharma and biotech should grow to a 500 billion industry by then. Improve labor force participation rate of 65%, and what is just the professor has said, increase the female participation to 50% from 19.9% now. So now these are the, right, when we say the Vision India, every IIT has the similar vision. And we need to now look at how can we make. So a couple of important points what you see, right, in future where we have to work together is the defense, industry, manufacturing, right. We need to look at developing 3 or 4 global champions in each sector, including oil and gas sectors by merger or restructuring of companies, and developing different kind of, say, semiconducting materials for making India a hub and leader in green technology, comprehensive skilling ventures. And there are many other points like in agriculture, we need to make a country self-reliant. There is another important point is NEP and Science, Technology and Innovation Policy, which is again a draft in 2020 has been made on STI. So research impact is very important. We ask the publication. Publications are very important for the faculty members, every faculty member. But the impact of publication would be more important in future. We need to look at the publications through some technology development, and it will always be a multidisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary as well as the multidisciplinary approach. The different branches of science and engineering have to come together and to develop a product. So a kind of proactive international STI engagement. Then Indian knowledge system is very important. So we have to look at the ancient knowledge and validate, and now look forward how these can be utilized again in future. There are several hard questions when we look at how to implement this. So I would like to see IIT Roorkee, right, among the top, right, in world ranking, top 100, and 10 world-class innovations. But the question is again coming Nobel laureates. So I would like to see few Nobel laureates from here. 10 world-class, what you call the corporation incubated. 10 global campuses of IIT Roorkee all over the world. So instead of looking at the Western, we are developing our own things, and our IIT Roorkee should become a role model for the world. India, who's who, that is a kind of think tank that should come from the IIT Roorkee. There are many things which need to be discussed when you see it. You had, how can we go there? That's very important, because there are many things, right, to be done or right. But the important thing is that how we can foresee, right, and take these challenges for future. So the first challenge will be with me, right, in next 5 years. And these 5 years, so short-term vision as well as the long-term vision. So first thing is that conduct a gap analysis. So we need to find out, right, where are we lacking and what are we doing at present. And if you look at our India's vision of 2047, how IIT Roorkee can come up to that level. So we need to, right, make the collaborations. We need to make our, right, more and more faculty recruitment from different parts, different areas, and make the research more and more multidisciplinary. So our R&D team is already working in these different directions, and gradually I'm sure we'll move forward. Identify strategic areas where India could aim to become the world leader in a defined time frame. Roadmaps to be short, right, not only for developing the institutions, research bodies, and think tank as global leaders, but also for facilitating both public and private partnership. I am little bit, the gap is big, but we can fulfill it. So how to do that, the details we will discuss later, maybe in some, but the first important thing is that we need to make a self-sustaining model. That question is coming, what Professor Chaturvedi has raised in the beginning. We should not dependent on the government fund. We should have our own funds, right? How to make it, right, say 100%, that may be little bit less, but we need to move to that direction. But presently it is just 30, 70, what I see. But I think we need to increase our research income by 25%. This is what I target. Improved infrastructure, research parks, equity in startup, large collaborative projects, generate additional income. Adopting PPP model in developing infrastructures plus rental. Then global leader programs where we should contribute 25%. All revenue generating outreach activities should be undertaken under a new society or company. So we can have several Section 8 company and generate the revenue. We should have more and more endowment funds. So I again put a number 25% here. And competitive fees, again I put a number 25% here, where we talk about new models, defer fee payment, and recover from the post-employment income. That could be another model. You give them the loan in the beginning when the student come, and when they go and get the job, and it is their responsibility to return to the institute. So that is a kind of, again, a partnership model. So these things can work. I think I don't have much time to explain. Sure. But in total, what I would like to see in short, at the end, autonomy and governance strategy, self-sustaining financial model, capacity expansion, ambitious research strategy, ambitious global strategy, aggressive outreach, and scale up entrepreneurship related activity. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll request Shri BVR Mohan Reddy to.
Thank you. My fellow panelists and ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to you. You've heard 8 of my panelists so far. Of course, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi painted very well what are the issues involved in terms of, didn't say what we should be in 2047, but what issues are involved at this point of time. You know, whether the right word is to sustain ourselves to be an institution, because there were several issues that he raised about governance, policy. Honestly, I feel that they're beyond us. The policy level issues, I'm sure several of them, Professor Pant, Professor Chaturvedi, are far, far senior to me in academics and in the IIT system. And they fought tooth and nail in terms of bringing some of those reforms. For example, you know, fee structure has to be changed, whether we can probably charge different levels of fees for different sets of people, and so on and so forth. Several times, I think this issue has brought up saying that we want to be self-sustaining. We want to be self-reliant. But policymakers think this is a social cause. So therefore, I will not tread into that area of governance and policy, therefore. It's not in my purview, it's not in my vision. I will probably say if IIT Roorkee has to be an extremely reputed institution. I know I'm using an adjective called reputed at this point of time, because the shortage of time, I can't peel it out and tell you what are the various criteria I use. The sum total of it I'm saying is reputed. Is that how we can get there are a few thoughts I have. I'll just make 3 points. Before I make those points, we have to recognize that the 21st century learning is extremely complex, it's multi-dimensional, and certainly societal issues have to be addressed if we want to get that reputation for ourselves. And you also need to address several social, economic, cultural, environment, all of them have been talked about. Our culture of having the best of universities in the world, all these stuff is left behind. So how we get there? The first one is that the 21st century student is also far different from what it was so far. We are not recognizing it. I'll be very, very blunt about it. The millennials and centennials are different people compared to what they were. They are restless. The young lady was very kind to all of us. But I think, therefore, we have to move into my first suggestion is the student-centric learning. To me, student centricity becomes the key to us. Our ability to ensure that we encourage the students to start thinking, start learning is something which is very important. It can't be the rote learning. I keep giving this example of C.K. Prahlad, who was at University of Michigan at one point of time. He is no more. He said every time he taught a course, he tore off the notes from the previous time that he taught the course, the same course that he taught, but he never went back to the same notes he had. I know in an IIT, people are refusing to change the curriculum because they have to now start learning new things. In an IIT, I won't name them, but it is one of the IITs. And this is a public statement made by one of the deans in a recent event. So what we need to do, therefore, is bring about the change to certainly have here the voice of the student and allow the student to have a choice. And we should also move away from teaching the 10% of the class, which are my two front benchers, teaching 100% of the class. Technology enables us to do that. Teacher has to become a facilitator, as opposed to saying, I am the guru, I know everything. Pardon me, but there's several sources from which the student can know everything at this point of time. So what is this role of the teacher at this point of time is the facilitator. That's what I see for next 25 years. Facilitator who can actually grill himself or herself down to creating individual learning paths for students that they teach. So you can't leave anybody behind. That is when you will have the best of institutions built at IIT Roorkee. The second point I wanted to make, which is, of course, my favorite, all right, is that we need to get more amount of innovation, which will lead into more amount of incubation. And as a result of that, there'll be entrepreneurship. That's the need of the hour. I said your learning has to base on socio-cultural, economic, climatical environment that we live in at this point of time. So today there is enormous amount of need for entrepreneurship. Trust me, there's this word called demographic dividend. If we don't care them, what will happen is a demographic disaster. So we have to ensure our students will start becoming more innovative. I think Professor Raheja talked about the role of pure sciences and innovation. I'm not so aligned to that thinking, all right. But I feel innovation comes because of people are taking risks. They are challenging the status quo. They're not inventors to me. Their innovators do not certainly bring about new technologies. There's so many technologies around. You put them together, you have a new product or a service. But they have to work with their hands. They have to think on their own. They have to find the solution. That's a unique solution. It does not come simply in one shot, iteratively. So therefore, my second submission to this audience at the August gathering today is that let's promote more amount of innovation, incubation, and entrepreneurship. And the third one is that if you look at education systems all around, there are two parts to it. Research is very important. Research is very important for future. Nobody can dispute that at all. They're disputing they're wrong. But at the same time, the research that we do has to definitely get translated into something useful to this mankind. Some long-term, some short-term. So therefore, our ability to monetize this research, one of the things that has also been talked about is how funding comes in. And people scream from rooftops saying that India is only spending 0.7% of R&D. And I keep saying, boss, it is still not bad for an economy of this, the type that we have. Because my belief is if that even that 0.7%, if it is well spent and monetized thereafter, if the money, 0.7% of GDP is not small sum of money with a $2 trillion economy that we have, that money, if it will multiply itself many-fold, if you can do research which can be translated. Not 100%, I'm saying all has to be translational research. But at least the part of it which is translation, the funding will come by. So therefore, the third point I like to make is the industry connect through this research we're talking about, hearing what the problems are in research. And you look at the best of university in the world, I can challenge people. 15% of the faculty are from the industry. 15% faculty members go into the industry. That process has to continue. Only then we will see real life problems being addressed by academia. So my vision, therefore, is that it's not what are the issues involved, but how do we address? We have to become an institute which says we're student-centric learning. We'll have the reputation of an institute. IITR is known for innovation, incubation, entrepreneurship, and it has the best of industry connect. Thank you.
So now the audience is the panelists now. If you can limit your thoughts to 2 to 3 minutes, that will be great. I think Professor Chaturvedi made a request in advance. So Professor Chaturvedi, can you go ahead? Mics. Can you give the mic then?
Good evening. I'm Chaturvedi. I'm a professor in earth sciences. I'm a geologist by education. Problem solving, game theory. We are already talking about machine learning, AI, cloud computing. So many of these will be replaced by 2047. The education system will take a completely paradigm shift. I don't think there will be classroom teaching anymore by 2047, although I'll be 84 years by that time if I live. Then it's going to be a huge shift. The world is already changing its education system. COVID has given us a prelude to how education can be translated from classroom to virtual. So IIT Roorkee probably should look at having 200,000 students. Presently, we probably have 10,000 students and plus researchers and all. And we have to be ready for 200,000. Out of that, 20,000 could be in classroom, and the rest of the students, 90% will come from online. It will be a completely reoriented syllabus. Students will no more like to take degrees. It will be a certificate course. There will not be any more, the private universities are already trying to change into different courses. There is, if we are not gearing up for this, we have to look at, we cannot grow in isolation. This is India. We have to know the reality. We are a public funded institution. And if we have to create asset, probably we also have to go into market, raising money from the market. We have to create assets. We also involve in terms of, I always feel, I give an example of E is equal to MC square. The excellence will come only when you have multidisciplinary courses with creativity. Einstein might be crying in his grave if he listens to this, but this is what will get us where we want to be. And IIT Roorkee has been an institution of importance for many years, although we have not been into the Institute of Eminence category for whatever reason, and we may still try for it because the next lot will come, Professor Pant will take it forward probably. And if you look at India, 1947, when we got independence, we only had about 20 universities and 400 colleges all over India. Today we have 1,000 plus universities, 40,000 colleges. At that time we had 200,000 students going to college. Today we are 350 million students are looking forward to, I'm just concluding. So the reality will be based on virtual education, virtual classroom, and creating courses which will be short duration certificate courses rather than for a long duration courses. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Mr. Shivnani. Yeah.
Professor Chaturvedi, can I quickly react for
Yes.
Chaturvedi? Professor Chaturvedi, I agree with all that you said, but it won't become 100% virtual. We keep joking around. Even the American universities are now saying no virtual should come in. And the reason for that, I feel, even MIT, University of Michigan, all of them, they build so much of dorms. Dorms give them money, so students don't come. So they're all done for sure. So therefore, that's at the lighter vein. But more seriously, I think the teacher has a role to play. As I said, teacher will be the mentor. Teacher will create the learning paths for them. Individual learning, there's AI, we can talk about it. But I'm not too sure. Rest of it, I completely agree with you. But fully virtual is something which I think we need to be careful about.
Fine. Mr. Shivnani.
Yeah, I have basically 2 points. One is considering engineering institute, it is very important to increase the connect with the industry. Because I personally feel the connect with industry is lagging. That is why the students are going in other basically computer and other basically fields. The second is inclusion and diversity. Madam correctly said that if we have, you see, like board of directors, now it is mandatory from government of India to have one female on the board of directors. So same way, if we enhance inclusion and diversity, and if we reach 50%, 50%, because it is always considered if the females are on the board of directors or on the executive committee, the output is much more actually. So these are the 2 points I wanted to say. Thank you.
In fact, members may already know the Board of Governors of IIT Roorkee did create a diversity and inclusion committee, and we already have a chairperson for that. Very valuable session.
IIT Hyderabad board is all women board I have.
Right.
All women I had. And I had some say in the matters.
Right.
That's all I
Mr. Vimal Srivastava.
Hello, I am Professor Vimal Srivastava from Department of Chemical Engineering. I have some suggestions or comments with respect to ranking. So I do consider that ranking will play a role later on. So if we want to improve our rankings, we should have a benchmark with respect to where we want to go, either 50 or 100, whatever. And then we have to maybe 5 years gap wise, we have to think that how we can fill that gap. So benchmarking right now is very important, and also during the benchmarking, we have to see that what will be the other parameters that they are going to come up, though they are not right now, but we have to work upon that. So this is benchmarking. I consider that it is at most important, and we should percolate that to each and every faculty, student also, because the parameters may be per student, per faculty, or amount of money that we are getting from government or otherwise. So this is very important.
Professor Vipul Rastogi. Professor Vipul Rastogi.
Thank you. My name is Vipul Rastogi. I am from Department of Physics, and I'm also heading the Center for Photonics and Quantum Communication Technology. Well, I would like to spend a few minutes on how to prepare ourselves for 2047. For an educational institute and research institute like us, what I think that the major 3 things that we should have is, one is human resources in terms of students, good quality students and good quality faculty. Second is infrastructure. And third is, of course, financial resources to fulfill these requirements. For good quality students, whether in future we will be getting from JEE Advanced or from anywhere else, we should be able to attract good students by advertising whatever good practices we are doing in our institute. Whatever flexibility we have in terms of academic programs, whatever flexibilities we have, or whatever kind of environment we provide to our students, we need to very aggressively advertise that. We have done quite a lot in the last few years, and we will be doing a lot in coming years, but we need to reach out to people that we are doing this. So this is one thing that's how we can attract good students. Second is good quality faculty. Of course, we will have to provide a very conducive environment for research for our faculty, resources to do research, and also good quality life. What we are not able to advertise to the outside world is that Roorkee is a very beautiful, small but modern town. It has got, I think in the last several years, we have ranked first or second in Uttarakhand in cleanliness survey. Our campus is beautiful. We have clean air, no pollution at all here. We provide very good quality, modern facilities, modern residences to our faculty. We have 24 hours clean water, fresh water, and 24 hours electricity supply, which some other metros cannot do. So all these things, although these are very obvious and very simple things, but we need to reach out to people and tell these things. That why you are going to IIT Delhi or IIT Madras or IIT Bombay, why not to come to IIT Roorkee? So we'll have to attract them. In terms of resource generation, I completely resonate with the views of Professor Pant and Dr. Reddy that we cannot rely on government funds. We should generate our own resources by industry, academia collaboration. And for that, I would like to just say that can we expect from each of our departments that each department can each year can make one product, at least one product or solution, which is useful for the society or industry, or one startup which can generate funds. So if we can do that, then perhaps we can get going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Professor Maheshwari? Yes. We'll take just 2 more comments and then we'll have to close. Time is up.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you very much. Though I have very brief. That is from the kind of experience which I had from the campus, from this. Like if we maintain the quality, then irrespective of, because the world is changing very fast, but still we are going to sustain. So quality is more important than quantity, which is I at least strongly believe from last 20 years. Whatever way the parameters are there for either for ranking or for the promotions or whatever, if we are doing good work in the sense quality, then it's okay. But later, I find that it is going on numbers. So we need to restrain the numbers rather than focus on the quality. That is my suggestion.
Thank you. Professor Ajay?
So good evening. Myself, Ajay, I'm professor in physics. I work on the superconducting quantum materials and do theoretical modeling. So I want to take a few minutes. If you look back, there have been a green revolution in this country. And if you look at today's Times of India headline, India has sent around 80,000 tons wheat to Yemen and to Arabians. So at a time, in a time of 40, 50 years, we are self-reliant in food grains. And we are sending to even developing countries. If you look at the country in terms of the economy, we are 5th largest economy in the world. So we should look at on this aspect. Secondly, if you look at the government plans, sir, and looking at the technology aspect, we are not able to build even drone. Even we are not having Boeings, we are purchasing them with a very high cost from France and UK. So we should come forward in aviation technology because we are having 100 airports and more than 100 nowadays international airports are being planned. 50 has been already planned. So for that, how much infrastructure will be coming up? Should we purchase it from US or from France? We should have an aviation technology. We should open a BTech program in aviation engineering because that will be the future. Second is medical. The last 2 years has given us one of the experiment that you can do research even without going to the place where it is being conducted. But that doesn't mean that teacher role is going to be finished. So even in BTech program, we should have a hybrid model. Just like if you look at MIT, Cambridge, Caltech, they have already modified it. They are making engineering, BTech in say, major in electrical engineering, minor in computer science. BTech in major in mechanical engineering, minor in mathematics. So we should make a hybrid program, and without making too much course loaded in third year or in sixth or fifth and you can say sixth semester, we should make through projects. We should have courses, and in parallel, we should have hybrid projects. So these projects will make them real-time feeling that what the industry wants. And if you look at the better institutes, which are existing, 5 better institutes, you look at their BTech curriculum, they have right now have placed it, sir. So with this, I want to say, secondly, in the research program, I have spent here around, I'm PhD from 95, sir. But I see in IITs, our IIT student in MTech and PhD, only 10%, sir. So we should inspire them to come back to IIT system for research.
Thank you.
We are having most of the students from center and other universities. So our student is going there. So we should brought them right from their BTech entrance to make a hybrid project, project-based learning, and also the course and project should be interfaced.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Maurya and Professor Handa, then we have to close. Professor Maurya.
So I am Professor S. Maurya. I am Associate Professor in the Sciences Department. Sir, origin of life and the establishment of this institute have a common word, water. And no other institution in this country having such a huge expertise in the different sector of the water related research. But we are scattered in 5 departments, like 3 departments, AHEC or hydrology, WRDM, then 2 departments, civil engineering and the earth sciences. These 2 departments are having UG courses, but the other 3 departments don't have any UG courses. My suggestion is to bring all these expertise under the single umbrella so that we can run a UG program, and the name should be something like Department of Hydrological Sciences and Engineering. And we can also run engineering UG program as well as other MTech programs, and a combined effort to at least cater the 50% of the water related research to bring to the IIT.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Handa.
Yeah. Sir, my submission is that when IITs, not all, but all IITs or high-tech institutes, when we select the faculty, it is a very vigorous exercise, and to the best of abilities, the best of people are selected. But incidentally, sometimes some of them may not be excellent teacher. I think the first concern of any engineering institute should be that my every teacher is rated as excellent teacher by students, not by us, through our own, how many research papers, what qualifications, where did you PhD from. Because after all, the learning really stays within the classroom. A very easy thing once told in a gathering like this somewhere else was that look at the attendance record of the students of undergraduate of SC Honda or PK Jain or somebody, whomsoever you want. And if you feel the attendance in the classroom in undergraduate is 95 to 100%, he is an excellent teacher, which we may not be, all of us, unknowingly, not that we don't want to be. But there should be exercises, including in IIT, though it is difficult to convince the teachers in IITs, that they should improve themselves to go into the excellent category. It may not be possible that you bring in specialists and tell our teachers come and attend this 2 weeks program. But if chairman sahab sends or the director sends them to 3-day program in Dubai, I think many will opt for doing that. But it is a must that everybody should be brought into a level where they are rated as excellent teachers by the students.
Thank you.
In addition to all the research and all things, they are different aspects.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor.
Thank you very much, sir. I have two points to make here. And the first point is, and which is the last bulleted point here, what if the parameter of our success or progress are changed? If within NRF, if the weightages are changing, then what is going to happen? Maybe IIT Roorkee become on top. So what I'm trying to put forward here is that we should have our own plan, our own destination, and our own vehicles to reach there. And I'm very fortunate that IIT Roorkee, that means while University of Roorkee, has done it in the past and has given many such traditions that we are still following, right from starting from the entrance examinations. So likewise, all those good practices, all those things should be kept, and we should have our own parameters to see what we are actually doing. The second very important point that I really would like to make it, and I really feel it, I have spent around 20 years here, there are very few or almost none industry supported research labs. And when I'm saying industry supported research labs, it's like the big labs that we see outside, where the industries are coming, supporting all kind of state of the art infrastructure. Students are motivated to work, to do research there. Those things are probably missing at IIT Roorkee. And I really would like to see that the new administration takes it up and we go ahead with it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Professor Arya. I think we had a very lively session. Round of applause for the audience and also for the panelists. So it will not be proper for the moderator to try and summarize such wide-ranging and such very useful insights presented by distinguished panelists and the audience. But I would just like to say one sentence, and that is that the purpose of a vision session is so that we realize that we must spend some part of our time to long-term planning and thinking. Because many higher goals are within our reach, which we do not realize when we just think about tomorrow or the next semester. So some portion of the time must go to long-term strategic thinking. Then we can achieve many of the opportunities that are there for us. With these words, I would like to conclude the session. And again, thank you.
So I think, please have a seat. So I think it was a very enlightening session. I think we have learned a lot, and I think we will be planning also. But main point is we need to evolve actually. We need to evolve as per the conditions prevailing. I would like to thank all the panelists, eminent panelists, for sparing their time and giving us directions and guidance. I would like to thank all alumni, their families, faculty members, students, and everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I would also like to thank the management department, particularly Professor Binay Sharma, Professor Usha Lenka, Professor Rajat Agrawal. They are managing the show from right from 4 o'clock actually. So the three programs side means have been happening, and that's. I would like to thank DOFA office. I would like to thank our security media cell, all the people who have contributed in this, MAC like staff, and thank you very much.